I'm Scott Killian, coming to you live from Gilbert, Arizona. Uh, yeah, so just a little bit about myself. I'm a 55, soon to be 55-year-old father of three, married here in Gilbert, and decided to start a podcast. And people, my family, and everyone says, why are you going to start a podcast, Scott? Why are you going to do that? Why? I have a message. I have a few messages. I feel like I could be educational to a lot of people, but doing some things that you probably wouldn't want to do. And I've lived through some things that, maybe somebody could benefit from not having to go down that school of hard knocks. So, anyhow, but the main reason I finally got off my ass to do this podcast was I gave the story of my most embarrassing moment of my life. Uh, it was 2015. And a little backstory: I grew up in Tucson. Moved to Tucson in 1980 from Indiana. Okay, so you got the 500. You had Larry Bird. You got, I mean, what I see? Not much from Indiana, but you get the Hoosiers. So anyhow, let's see. My sister and I went to in 1986 or so. We went to the Scarecrow tour. So I had sixth row, and I brought my Indiana state flag, and John pointed at it like I was like, dang, man, that's right. I'm a Hoosier. You're a Hoosier. Right on, bro. So I was in junior high. So then, 2015, fast forward, I decided to get tickets early on for John Mellencamp coming to town, Comerica Theater. And I got front row. Got front row. Never sat front row ever in my life to anything. Few weeks before I went to the show, I bought a red Indiana Hoosiers shirt. IU, big red shirt. And I wore that proudly to the concert. Yep. Felt like a big shot front row. About my buddy Lizard. He'll tell you a different story more than likely. He's known for adding spice to many, many stories, but I'm telling you the truth. I have nothing to hide. So anyhow, I go there and we're at the concert, and in the middle of the show, John Mellencamp, he's a religious guy. He starts talking about his grandma, and I don't even know what it was talking about, but I was just, whatever. And some shit for brains behind, about 6 rows behind me yells, "Shut up and play some fucking music." And I was like, oh man, I was like, ooh, ow. I just said, "We love you, Johnny." That was my mistake. Because John Mellencamp proceeded to tee off on me like it was crazy. I mean, I felt like he went off on me, and he said, "Oh, what do we have here? This guy with the red or Hoosier shirt. He went to school there. He's just, belittling me in front." I turn around. There's, I don't know, 25,000, 30,000 people looking at me. I'm wearing a red shirt. I was fucking horrified. Everybody around me knew that I wasn't the guy that yelled it. They had a little sympathy for me, I would think, but I made a mistake. I shouldn't have yelled, but it was a knee-jerk reaction, and I've tried to get an apology from John Mellencamp, but it's not that easy. I think I contacted his daughter on Instagram, but I never heard from her. They probably think I'm just a weird stalker. Here's the deal. Okay, I was telling this story to my family yesterday, and my son goes, "Who's John Mellencamp?" And I'm like, huh. So I put on Jack and Diane, and I started listening to it. Mind you, ever since 2015, every time a John Mellencamp song came on the radio, I turn it out of disgust. But I started listening to it yesterday, and I was like, "This is fantastic freaking music." Jack and Diane, and I, I said I got to get my ass and start this podcast because I feel like I'm doing an apology. So with 6 degrees of separation or whatever that shit is, if you know someone that knows John Mellencamp or whoever, maybe pass it on. Monkey Biz Podcast, Mellencamp Apology. I would think that's all you have to type in. I'm using this. I've never done a podcast before, so I'm using some service uh, Podcastle. It seems to be good. I hope I'll be able to post it on YouTube. It won't go anywhere. It's completely pointless. So if Podcastle can post this. I'm not telling you, the older you get, the harder this shit gets, man. Anyhow, that was one of the reasons I want to start the podcast. There's a lot of other ones, though. There's a lot of other ones. I mean, my great grandkids can watch and see what their great grandpa looked like, or what the heck he talked like, So, anyhow, I'm a. And by the way, you can look it up yourself. It was in the New Times magazine, the review. All you have to do is type in Comerica Theater John Mellencamp review 2015. They mention me. Look at this. And it says at one point, let's see, at one point, and launched into a story about his grandma and his dad, only to be interrupted by a drunken fan. Well, I wasn't drunk, and it was the guy behind me was probably drunk. He was the asshole. And then it goes on to say, where is it? It says, what he said, apparently John Mellencamp said, what did he say? Mellencamp asked, annoyed at the interruption to his impeccably paced story. Anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, he said, pausing to the crowd, cheering in agreement, I don't come to your work and stand around and yell at you. Oh, I see the problem. That motherfucker has an Indiana shirt on. Can you imagine? I turn around and everyone's looking at me. I'm walking out of the show. Everyone's like, there's that fucking guy. Not many musicians handle hecklers with such grace and control. And soon seamlessly transitioned back into the story, which ended his grandma looking cooler. It was just a setup for the next song, The Longest Days. So John, I wasn't the fucking asshole that told you to shut up and play the fucking music. Trust me, it wasn't me. And it was wrong for me to yell, we love you, but for God's sakes, it wasn't me that yelled it. So please, buddy, do the stand-up thing to do. Do the right thing to do. And send me an apology. That's all I'm asking for. I mean, I don't know. I lived up there in Anderson, We let the auto factories all closed up. Anyways, enough of my sob story bullshit. Just if someone knows them or something, pass it on. I really appreciate it. So this is episode 1. I'm going to shoot episode 2, and we'll go from different things, educational stuff, interviews, whatnot. It's going to be a good time, I think. So take care, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit the like button. It helps in my algorithm. It's the first time I ever said that, and it's probably not going to be the last. Take care, guys.